Hi guys! Alright, so here is our final video in our three-part series of talent development within youth athletes. Now, in this video, we're going to be focusing in on certain activities that coaches can do, or even in this case, the athletes themselves can do to help foster talent development. Alright, so we're going to go over several different practice types, and then I'm going to show you a really cool matrix at the end. So, I hope you enjoy. Now, the first part is, how can we develop talent? In the last two videos, we talked about how coaches can impact talent, and then also how parents can impact talent as well. Coaches just with their ability to connect with their athletes, and then parents with the amount of support that they can give. But what are some actual methods or ways that we can actually increase the talent within our athletes? Well, two main ones stick out, and they seem kind of very forward or just kind of in your face, but trust me, there's a little bit more method behind the madness. The first one's going to be practice. Wow, who'd have thunk, right? Practice helps promote talent. It does, but there's different types of practices that we'll actually go into shortly. The second one's going to be play, or mainly more or less just having fun. Now, practice, what makes practice special is that it has a very clear objective. You're trying to improve upon something. It has a goal in mind. With play, I would say the only goal is to have fun, essentially. So those are two different ways that we can increase talent and development. It is going to be practice and play. So we're going to be talking a little bit about a thing called deliberate practice. Now, what is deliberate practice? Deliberate practice is run by a coach, or it's an adult-led, organized, I don't say event, but activity. Now, the key thing with deliberate practice is that it has a clear objective of trying to improve on a skill or a talent, technique, however you want to say it. There's just going to be certain drills set up in order to improve one aspect of the athlete. Oftentimes, these are going to be, how should I say, more intrinsically motivated. So what I mean by that is the athlete's trying to work on a specific thing. So they might not get the immediate gratification, but like I said, they might see the results or the benefits of their hard work later on. We'll talk a little bit more about this when it comes to play. But I wrote down some things. Their main motivation is just overall improvement, kind of what we just said. Drill oriented, and then also you're going to do a lot more analysis. So going play by play, replay, video analysis, getting other coaches to see, okay, how is this athlete progressing? Do we need to improve on footwork? Do we need to improve on swing mechanics? Deliberate practice. So again, just trying to enhance overall performance with focusing on one specific thing. So deliberate practice. The next thing is going to be play practice. Again, both of these activities, deliberate practice and play practice, is organized by an adult. All right. Now with play practice, this is going to be trying to enact enjoyment or just trying to have fun within the sport. There are many fun, silly games that just kind of, again, get the athletes to loosen up or just to enjoy whatever activity they're doing. This is really effective for younger kids, that's 6 to 12 range that we talked about before. But it's also really useful too for children who are A, just trying out different sports, sampling. B, children who are starting to focus in on one sport, but like I said, aren't quite as heavily invested. Having some sort of element of fun is always going to be great just to kind of prevent burnout or dropout. And that goes the same with elite level athletes. Again, just fun, silly games. Professionals, their version of games could be, gambling to an extent. Hey, I'll bet you a buck a hole sort of thing, just to kind of give it a fun little competition. So that's kind of a play practice run by adult, and deliberate practice run by adult as well. On the flip side is going to be spontaneous practice. Now, what is spontaneous practice? Well, it is ultimately run by the athletes. This is kind of a peer run thing to where you can have a group of kids who either play on the same team or go to the same school. Pick a time, like on a Saturday, and say, hey guys, let's go just throw around the ball, or kick the ball around at this park. And you get all the teammates together, and they just kind of do, it's not an organized practice setting, but they are together doing something, and usually it's a form of play. A lot of cool benefits about this. It kind of shows them some self-autonomous behavior. They're kind of running, quote unquote, they're organizing session or time with each other, which is really important for team building. But also too, it's not run by an adult. This is kind of going to the intrinsic motivation or the self-autonomous behavior. But not having adult presence really does shift the mindset a little bit. This is, again, going to be more play-oriented, but the children will identify certain things that they want to work on. I said in my first video, children are very in tune with what they can work on if you just kind of ask them a little bit. You kind of scaffold certain questions like, okay, what do you think you could improve on? Okay, so your free kicks. Okay, so how do you think we should go do that? And they'll just start listing off just many different things or many different options for them. So, you got to give them credit. They can organize when they want to, and they probably have a lot more input than most people are willing to accept, because it's that coach and athlete dichotomy, and it's the hierarchy, which should be looked at a little bit further. And the last one's going to be deliberate play. And again, this is run usually by the athletes or the children. And what's deliberate play? Well, it's not necessarily having a game. You're not organizing a practice with your other teammates with no coaches around. You're not working on specific things. What you're doing is that you're just having fun, just throwing the ball around, just kicking the ball around. Again, there's really no specific goal with what you're doing. It's just to play for the sake of playing. So those are just four different ideas that I want you to keep in mind, because we're going to go right into a matrix that's going to kind of hopefully explain things a little bit better. But just to recap, we have deliberate practice, usually run by a coach or an adult, that is focusing on improving one specific aspect of the athlete's game, so to speak. The next one's going to be play practice, which is also held by a coach. And those are just fun, interactive games. They're not really focused on improving technique or form, but to have fun. The third one, which is athlete-led or child-led, and that's going to be spontaneous practice, where they just get a whole bunch of teammates together and they just have practice by themselves, no coaches around. You're going to see a lot more element of play and fun, but they're also going to be working on techniques that they feel that they can improve on. And the last one's just going to be deliberate play. Again, no adults, no coaches, just kids getting together, having fun, Sandlot style, if you know that reference. All right, so those are the four. Now, this matrix that we were talking about, this matrix is going to be broken up into two different axes. So on the vertical axis, we're going to have adults on the top, and then we're going to go all the way down to children on the bottom. All right, so adult-led practices versus children-led activities. And then on the horizontal axis, we're going to have what's going to be called, I wrote it down, instrumentability. Okay, so basically, how are we going to employ these practice sessions, or what is the main goal? And then on the other end of the axis, we're going to have intrinsic values. So what does the person, hold dear and, within themselves is going to be the main key. Now, let's start with a quadrant, okay? The first one in the top left side is going to be what we call deliberate practice. We talked about this, trying to work on specific aspects of the athlete's game, or the child's game. So it's going to be run by the adult, but then it's going to be instrumental into where it has very specific goals. The bottom left, right below that, is going to be spontaneous practice. And this is the athlete-led activity. And they're still going to be working on specific things, but it's going to have a different goal orientation than, let's say, something that is constructed by an adult or a coach. So those are on the left-hand side, again, working on form and technique. One's going to have a little bit more play, which is generally run by the children or the youth athletes, and then the upper or the top one's going to be run by a coach. And then we're going to look on the right side of the axis, and then the upper right-hand side, we're going to have play practice. And again, these are play activities that are organized by a coach or an adult. Again, they're really just trying to focus on bringing out fun and enjoyment. So they're probably going to have some organized games that can help with technique passively. They're not really working on anything per se, but kind of help you get to know the rules, or maybe just the overall idea of dribbling. So you can do dribbling games, so to speak, a lot of different things depending on your sport. And then on the bottom right half of the quadrant, we're going to have the deliberate play. Now this is where you're still having an element of play, except without having a coach or an adult organize it. These are just the kids getting together and they're just playing around, literally to speak. Every sport's got some form of this, baseball, just throwing the ball around. So like I said, the motives are going to be a little bit different compared to any type of deliberate practice or spontaneous practice. With play practice or deliberate play, we're just going to have fun, and that's why it's going to be more towards the intrinsic value, just the internal enjoyment of it, rather than looking at the outcome of technique and the overall delayed gratification of doing well in a competition. Again, we're just two different dichotomies. So that's the matrix. It's a little muddled, but hopefully the diagram's going to help you a little bit as well. All right, good. So hopefully that worked out. Now, I just want to recap kind of what we talked about. There's two different ways where we can help encourage talent within youth athletes. The first one's going to be, and it's pretty obvious, practice. Now, practice has the main goal of trying to increase performance in a certain area. So we're trying to work on one piece of the athlete's technique or just overall ability. So it's really hyper-focused, and they're going to encourage certain drills. And also, like I said, time commitment. There's just a lot of factors just to improve on one thing. The second part that helps encourage talent development is going to be play. Now with this one, it's not focusing on improving one certain thing. The only focus is pure enjoyment of the sport. Both of these work hand in hand. Okay, play helps prevent dropout or burnout. Can also help out with performance too, because sometimes it takes a lot of stress off the athlete. And then obviously practice helps technical skills too. So they work hand in hand. It's not like one is better than the other. You really do need a great balance of both of them. And then we went into deliberate practice, and we went into play practice. Both deliberate and play practice are adult-led. All right, so deliberate practice, working on specific techniques. Play practice, we're gonna have some fun, but run by an adult, so there might be some structure, quote unquote. And yeah, so again, fun emphasis. And then the last two are gonna be spontaneous practice, which is run by the athletes. So the athletes or the teammates are going to get together and they're going to have their own practice. They're going to have a lot of fun, but they're probably going to be working on some piece of their technique, whether it be through drills that the coaches taught them, or like I said, self-evaluation as well. And the last one's just going to be deliberate play. And again, these are last two were both run by the athletes themselves. So just the pure enjoyment of the sport itself. So they're just going to go out, kick the ball, throw the ball around, just whatever, just have some fun. Not really concerned with the outcome of anything like that. They're just having a good time. So those are the different activities that can really help perform or help promote, talent within youth athletes. And I just want to say thank you for staying with me for all these 3 videos. This was a pretty in-depth topic, and I really did cover everything with a broad stroke. But if you have any questions, as always, please reach out to me with my email down below. And I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. All right? Bye-bye.